So that was your set induction. You did very well, and basically it provided a backdrop for our lesson today, which is about, tell us.
How language is formed.
Learn?
Yes, how
acquire?
humans acquire language, Katrina. How children learn language.
Indeed.
Yeah?
In stages, so,
Yes,
so the
yes.
research says.
Could you just look at those first questions and read them for me? Cassandra, start with the first one.
Is language acquisition among humans akin to how other animals acquire the sounds that distinguish them from one another? That's the first
Colin?
question.
Second question, in other words, is language acquisition instinctive?
Katrina?
Would humans acquire language if they never hear it spoken?
And then if a baby were to be placed in a pigsty or within the environment in which he is exposed to braying and neighing and bleating and howling, etc., after 6 weeks, what songs would the child make? Colin?
I think bleating songs and neighing and all the others.
Cassandra?
Same.
Katrina?
I agree.
Why?
Because we reflect how we are nurtured.
Yeah.
There's many
Behavior is copied, kind of, I think. I think that's why we don't end up speaking French when we're born here. We don't just go into that because we reproduce what we hear.
So something is received and it is reproduced.
Yes.
And that's how we learn language. So if a child never hears the human voice, then he will.
Probably not.
Probably never speak like a human.
But he will probably still use the voice, but in a way that humans have not become accustomed to, because there's also the argument for what is innate or inane.
You're looking at the script, Katrina.
I was, sorry.
Right, yes.
She went through it.
For years, researchers and theorists have been looking at how is it, and they've been debating it. So we're going to look at some quick theories before we go into the lesson. The first one, the behaviorists argue that language is learned primarily by reinforcement. Skinner says a baby accidentally makes a sound that resembles ma. It evokes that sound from his mother. She likes it, and she rewards him, and he repeats it. You believe that? You go with Skinner?
Yeah.
Yes, not fully, no.
But wait, hold it. Let's see what the next one says,
Okay.
Katrina. You just touched, somebody just touched on this. Innate or the nativist. Read what they say, Katrina.
Theories argue that humans have a language organ in the brain that facilitates language acquisition. Chomsky believes that human beings are born with a language acquisition device that helps them to learn language.
So even if you put them in a pigsty, or with the sheep that bleat, and
They're still capable of language.
it would just appear.
No. No.
I don't think
Cassandra?
so.
I've never been a
I
fan
don't
of
think
Chomsky.
so.
That's probably why.
No.
Let's try somebody else. The empiricists, what do they say, Cassandra?
Theorists argue that language is learned through experience. Children learn language by watching it being used in culture and society. I agree with this one.
Colin? And there's a guy who was worried about the behaviorists, he dismissed the nativists, and he wasn't interested in empiricists, and he said, you know something, I believe all you guys.
That's the safe way.
So read what he said, Colin.
Theorists argue that language is acquired through a combination of all the above theories. Innate ability, yes, but the specifics are expressly taught by adults in culture. They see it as a combination of nature and nurture.
You can live with that?
Yeah, I can live
I
with that.
suppose.
Yes.
I can live with that.
Okay, good.
So all of them are right, in essence.
In a sense, I think there's an element
Something
of
you
truth.
can pull from me.
Yes, but clearly what is critical is that it must be heard.
But it has to be a combination of the nature and nurture.
Yes.
Because if you grew up with a pig, you probably start behaving
you
like
will
that.
grunt, you
You'll
will
be
grunt.
nurtured like by a
Yes,
pig.
yes. So it's very important that parents understand that from very early they have to start stimulating the language facility and the child's ability to reproduce language.
So are we saying no baby language here? Is that where we're going?
It becomes that very, very, very,
But I've
very
heard
soon.
someone say that you actually need to say the words and stop gaga Googling.
But there's some who believe that because the baby language has a simple structure, it's better to start with that. But that's debatable. That's debatable. But three important things about language. First, language is comprised of phonology. Those are what? The sounds.
Yep.
The morphemes, the words and the meanings. And the sentence, which is really the grammar and the rules of the language. So the smallest unit of the language are what? The letters.
The letters.
The letters and the sounds. Do some reading with me. I'm going to engage you girls today. Go ahead,
Girls?
Katrina. How are human beings able?
How are human beings able to produce the various letter sounds of the language and the millions of combinations that are possible? It is easier to produce certain sounds than others. Is there a sequence and order in which those sounds are learned and produced? Why does it appear that babies say dada before they say mama?
Nah, that brings us quickly to the next image. You have it in your hand. I hope you can pick it up with the camera. Let's put it here by the babies. Right here. So maybe Chomsky was right. That we do have, Katrina, some equipment, some language facilities somewhere on the body that helps you to be able to say a, ba, g. You remember the first songs you made, Colin, as a baby?
Yeah, it was.
What was it?
You remember?
Mom, I'm kind of hungry.
Oh, you remember?
You talk from birth?
Right.
You remember your first song?
No,
You remember your first song, Katrina?
I don't think I could
I
remember
think
that. They
my
would have to
parents
tell
have told me that my first word was ball.
Not word, but sound.
Sound. Well, it was wailing for food, clearly.
I was probably
Crying.
singing.
Crying.
Yes, that's when the babies start to experiment with their first song. Ah, and then they're brrr, ah, and they're cool, and they say all kinds of songs. Because basically what's happening is that they're beginning to experiment with the first experiences with language. So let us try. The English language has how many letters?
26.
26. And perhaps many more songs than letters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? So if we start to articulate those sounds, suppose we do with letter names and then some of the sounds, what you're going to notice? That as you say A, say with me now. A,
A,
A, B,
B,
K,
K,
G.
Good.
G.
What do you notice is happening? With the tongue, what do you notice is happening?
Changes in where it strikes.
B, your lips come together. T, what happens to the tongue? It goes to the top of the
the roof of
move.
your mouth.
So when you want to say king, K, what happens? What's happening there? The tongue goes back to the throat and so on. And if you look at this photograph you have here, if you can pick it up, all of these are points of articulation, and those are the facilities that God has given us to be able to produce language.
Wow.
Isn't that fascinating?
It is fascinating, but Mr.
gotta
Principal,
continue.
the Minister of Education has mandated that we take the last 3 minutes of this class and speak about something else. So it seems we'd have to continue
The
on this
minister
subject.
within this forum.
Yeah, our Minister of Education in here. So we will have to continue this next week.
So the
lesson
this
is over?
fascinating.
Yes, for today.
The minister.
Yeah.
But
has
we
a
wanted
very
to find out how many words you have in your vocabulary now at 40 years old, Colin.
Oh, well,
many
we'll talk
to
about that next week.
But this was good, and we want to say thanks to you who stayed with us throughout the morning and no complaining. Why you be late for work? Thank you for watching. And the art.
Yes, the art. The exhibition begins this evening. An exhibition by
John Dolan.
And he's all the way from balmy old England, having already conquered, or invaded actually, Scotland.
All by himself.
And a couple of these paintings, the one you're looking at right now, Rihanna, will be up
This will
for
be
auction.
auctioned.
For the Variety Club.
Yes, the children's charity.
There's another one too.
Yes.
Up to auction.
This is going to be presented to the living legend, Sir Garfield Silvers.
indeed, yes.
And Mr. Dolan humbly said, I hope he will like it. I think he really will. It's full of character, and it is so him, so I think he will. But these are just a few pieces in that vast selection of workings from John Dolan. So it's an exhibition of fine art for you not to miss. The Grand Salle, Central Bank of Barbados, from today, Wednesday, August 24th, 6:30 p.m.
Well, today is the premiere, so
Yes.
I'm thinking
The
you may
big
need an
launch.
invitation.
The big launch.
Which we have. But
But
it's
you can-
running for 5 days, so,
And-
make sure and try and catch some of it. We are not sure yet if Katrina is going to leave any of them for you if you want to buy them. But she's
boy.
not going to go down there and try to buy up as many as she can. Maybe you may get a chance.
Yeah.
You may get a chance to buy the one with the Harley. I like the one with the
like
Harley.
that
That
one.
is nice.
Route
That one is
66.
It's got great depth of field.
You know, if I had an option, I'd go for the Rihanna painting.
Well, we know that.
Well,
we know that.
go down there and bid, Cassandra.
I don't think I can bid
dig
as
into those
high as would
pockets.
be good
Dig
enough
into
for
those
them.
pockets.
Any more information you need, please call 427-5455. That's for RSVPs and any other information. Bid on the Rihanna photo. It's going to the Variety Club, which is a great cause.
charity.
And that's really sweet of John to come to Barbados and pay homage to our living legends.
It's a community thing, and he maintains that humility is an important part of it also. He's giving back.
Morning, Barbados.